During our call, my daughter accidentally left the line. What I discovered was life-changing. Jake's heart raced as he paced around the living room, phones buzzing in his pocket. He was on an important call, the kind that held the promise of finally easing the financial burden off his shoulders. Hours spent working at the diner and delivering pizzas seemed to hang in the air like a thick fog, suffocating yet ever-present. He glanced toward Lily's room, feeling her eyes glued to him even if they were shades away. The silence was deafening when all he wanted was to break free from that financial cage for her. Suddenly, he sensed that something was off. The line went silent. "Hey Lily," he called, his voice tinged with concern, but no answer came. It felt like a punch to the gut. He rushed to her door, knocked gently, and opened it just in time to see tears streaming down her face. Something twisted in his chest. He had never seen her cry like this. "Dad, I'm sorry," she sobbed, the weight of her emotions breaking through. "I didn't mean to hang up on you. I was listening." Her confession slashed through Jake's heart, screaming louder than any words he could muster. "Listening to what?" The air was thick with hesitation. "Your call. About college, the money, and how you think I shouldn't even bother," she choked, words spilling forth like a broken dam. "What if I don't get to go? What if there are no scholarships? What if?" Before she could finish, he stepped toward her, pulling her close. "Lil, no. I want you to go to college. It's not you, it's the world we live in." As he wallowed in the harsh realities of survival, he realized the truth. He had let too much worry seep into their lives. He mourned the dreams he was striving to protect, but in doing so, he had cast shadows over hers. "Jake, I feel so lost. You work so hard. What if it's not enough?" Lily's voice trembled, each word delivered with a fragility that ripped at his heartstrings. "Sweetheart," he paused, looking at her freckled face, seeing the sparks of ambition in her tear-filled eyes. "It doesn't matter what the world says. I believe in you." Jake's mind raced. They'd make a plan. The community had laced a new change into the air, and for the first time the world didn't seem quite so big. "We'll reach out. Talk to our neighbors. We can create something together. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue." With that spark ignited, Lily's sorrow began to dissolve into determination. They rallied their neighbors, reaching out, sharing their stories. It felt like a giant wave had begun to swell, sweeping everyone closer together, bridging the struggles they quietly endured. But as momentum built, so did the oppressive weight of the system around them. Bureaucracy wrapped around their dreams like a barbed wire fence, each message from the schools a reminder of their class. They were just in the way. "Why can't they see us?" Jake fumed. Why can't they just help a hard-working father and his daughter? As the anger boiled within him, he found himself standing at a crossroads, one that would not only define their paths, but also challenge their small suburban community's fabric. Would he have the courage to push against the tide and fight for the future he wanted for his daughter? Hope flickered in the distance, but they both knew the battle was just beginning. The sun dipped below the horizon, casting a warm glow across the living room where Jake and Lily sat, huddled over a table cluttered with papers. It was a jumble of forms, letters, and notes scribbled in different colors. Their small makeshift command center came alive with energy as they began to formulate a plan, fueled by their newfound resolve. "Okay, let us tackle this one step at a time," Jake said, his finger hovering over a pamphlet for a community college. "We need to start with scholarships. There's gotta be something out there we can apply for." "Right," Lily exclaimed, her earlier tears now replaced by a flicker of excitement. "And we can talk to Mr. Carson down the street. He might know more about vocational programs." Jake nodded, heart swelling with pride as he watched his daughter shift from despair to determination. Together they began drafting emails and letters, weaving their story into each word, igniting their hopes into a message of resilience. Yet as night enveloped their home, an icy tendril of fear snuck into Jake's mind. What if their efforts weren't enough? What if the rejections continued to pile up? He fought the thoughts off, reminding himself of their mission. This was bigger than just money. This was about belief, community, and fighting to reclaim their dreams. Dad, do you think others will join us? Lily's voice wavered slightly, uncertainty creeping in. Absolutely, he replied, driven by a sudden surge of optimism. We're not alone in this. Everyone has their struggles, and if we pool our resources we can create a support system. As they plotted, a loud knock rattled the door, interrupting their brainstorming session. It echoed through the house, a reminder that life pressed on, even when hopes felt fragile. Jake exchanged a worried glance with Lily before he moved to answer the door. He opened it to find Mrs. Ramirez standing there, her arms crossed and a look of determination on her face. I heard you two are rallying the community, she said, her eyes shining with shared purpose. Count me in. And I know a few others who might want to help too. Jake's heart lifted. You're here right on time. We could use your ideas and experience. As Mrs. Ramirez stepped inside, it felt like the first glimmer of dawn breaking through a long dark night. Soon, neighbors began to trickle in, each carrying their stories, concerns, and willingness to support one another. Within the hour, their living room morphed into an impromptu meeting space. Laughter and conversation mingled with shared fears, turning the once quiet room into a vibrant space of community spirit. Felt good. It felt right, however. Amidst the mingling voices, Jake spotted a familiar face from several houses down, someone he never imagined would step through his door. It was Mr. Bowers, the man everyone whispered about, a reclusive character. The community knew he had a talent for business, but few had actually seen him participate in anything. Mr. Bowers? What brought you here? Jake asked, taken aback. I've been watching from the shadows, he replied, his voice gruff but steady. I see you're working hard to change things around here. I think I can help. Jake's heart pounded with simultaneous excitement and trepidation. Could this quiet man truly push them further along their path, or would this just add to their challenges? With a reassuring glance at Lily, he invited Mr. Bowers to share his thoughts, but as the man stepped forward, the room fell silent, anticipation thick in the air. Jake felt this moment could either make or break their attempt at change. Would they embrace his ideas, no matter how unconventional they might be? As Mr. Bowers began to speak, tension twisted in Jake's stomach. Would this community's newfound hope withstand the first test? Or were they about to wade deeper into uncharted waters? Mr. Bowers cleared his throat, and the low rumble of his voice filled the room. I've seen what you've started here. It's commendable. But I'm not here for encouragement. I'm here to shake things up. Jake's heart raced. What did that mean? Would he propose something radical that could frighten everyone away? I've been negotiating with local businesses for support, Mr. Bowers continued, now pacing slightly as he spoke. We could host a community fair, showcasing our talents and services, not just for fundraising but for building connections. Imagine a day where everyone can pitch in. Lily's eyes sparkled, and Jake noticed other neighbors nodding in quiet approval. There's something infectious about enthusiasm, like a spark of wild energy igniting in a room dull with routine. But how would we organize something like that? Lily asked, her voice eager. It's a big task. Mr. Bowers smiled, a rare expression breaking through his usual stoic demeanor. It'll take every one of us. We'll pull together resources, local vendors, maybe some entertainment. Everyone can donate a little, and we'll get more people involved than you can imagine. Jake blinked, processing the idea. He could see the pieces falling into place. Not only could this fair approach fundraising, but it could also weave the community closer together. It felt as if the walls of isolation were beginning to crumble. What if people don't come? A quiet voice from the back ventured. It was Mrs. Peters, always reliable but often hesitant. Mr. Bowers turned, displaying an encouraging aura. If we don't try, we guarantee no one will show. But if we write letters, create flyers, and knock on doors, well, we might just surprise ourselves. And help many families in the process. Jake felt a fire spark within him at that thought. Their dream of hope and community began to shape into something tangible. Gradually, ideas burst forth like popcorn. A bake sale. A local art exhibit. A talent show featuring kids from the neighborhood. Everyone chimed in, voices rising with excitement, banishing doubt with every shared idea. Jake could hardly keep up with the notes he was scribbling down, But amidst the clamor, a different siege of emotions gripped him. Could they truly pull this off? All the ifs and maybes rushed into his mind. Just then a shy hand raised in the corner. It was Emma, the teenager from next door. What if we invite local newspapers to cover our story? Could draw in more people. The suggestion hung in the air like a lifeline. Jake met Lily's eyes, and they both felt a surge of excitement. Yes, that could really spread the word. Jake encouraged Emma strongly. The conversation became vibrant again as the plan expanded. Within moments there was a clear outline take shape, peppered with hopes and laughter, but just as momentum reached its peak, the lights flickered momentarily, casting an eerie shadow across the faces gathered in anticipation. An unexpected chill crept into the room as the electricity sputtered out completely. The sudden silence felt like a harsh reminder of the challenges they faced, a pause brimming with uncertainty. The glow of comfort and camaraderie dimmed, leaving only the silhouettes of willing faces. Jake's heart sank. Had they built this dream only to watch it flicker out? Then Mr. Bauer stepped closer, his voice cutting through the dimness. Sometimes all it takes is a little darkness to test our resolve. We're in this together, folks. Power may be out, but our spirit remains lit. Jake felt a surge of warmth in his chest. This was it, the moment they could either fight against the naysayers or step forward into the void together. The community's resolve had been tested, and he felt their unity pulsing like a heartbeat beneath the surface. Just then he spotted something through the window. Flickering lights danced in the distance. The fairgrounds were already buzzing with commotion. Perhaps in this very moment, they were stirring the tides of change, unaware that an evening of joy awaited them. "Let us move outside, find the nearest lantern," Jake urged, with an exhilarated voice. "If our spirits can shine in the dark, then maybe we'll create something extraordinary." As they all gathered and shuffled towards the door, laughter broke the tension, but Jake felt the weight of possibility fill the room. They were stepping into the unknown, a frontier of hope expanding ahead. Would the community rally together to make dreams a reality? Or would the shadows of doubt pull them back? Jake's heart raced, wondering if this spark could truly ignite a fire, not just within their community but maybe even deeper within himself. As the door swung open, a wave of cool evening air washed over Jake and his neighbors, invigorating them. Flickering lanterns lit the path, guiding them toward the fairgrounds. The distant sounds of laughter and music echoed like a siren call, pulling them away from shadows into the vibrance of the night. "Look at that!" Lily exclaimed as they stepped outside. The fair was alive with activity. Children raced around, their faces painted like superheroes and animals, while adults set up booths draped in colorful banners. Jake's heart swelled at the sight. It was a scene he dreamed of playing a part in. The group surged forward, excitement buzzing like electricity around them. Together they navigated through the bustling fairground, absorbing the festive atmosphere. It felt more than just a fair. It was the embodiment of their ideas, a community stitched together with determination. "What should we do first?" Emma asked, eyes sparkling. Jake caught a glimpse of her joy, realizing how pivotal this moment was. She was no longer the shy girl from next door. She was a leader, a doer. "Let us check out the talent show," Jake suggested, pointing toward a makeshift stage surrounded by eager onlookers. As they approached, the atmosphere thickened with anticipation. Families gathered with their kids, all eyes focused on the performers, the local high school band playing an upbeat tune, followed by a girl who sang with a voice filled with hope. Neighbors danced and clapped, a feeling of togetherness weaving among them all. "Can you believe this is happening?" Jake murmured to Lily, noting how her expression mirrored his own awe. "It's incredible," she replied, her voice almost drowned out by the applause. "And there's so much more to come." Moments transformed into memories as they drifted from booth to booth. They sampled homemade treats from the bake sale, amused themselves at the ring toss game, and listened to the stories of local artisans passionately sharing their crafts. The fair became a tapestry of connection, and beneath it all was the unshakable feeling of solidarity. Yet, amidst the laughter, Jake's thoughts returned to how they had almost let doubt extinguish their flame. What if we had given in to fear? He pondered silently. Now, standing amid this lively scene, it felt impossible to imagine. But then, as if on cue, darkness gathered at the edges of his mind again. Would this magic last? What if tomorrow brought back the clamor of doubts and insecurities? Could they foster this kind of spirit every day? Resolute, he pulled himself back into the moment, focusing on the faces around him, each shining bright with purpose and joy. Each smiling child, every proud parent. It was a reminder that what they had created was more than a fair. It was a revival of hope. Just as he felt the wave of camaraderie surge through him once more, an unexpected commotion erupted from the front of the stage. "Ladies and gentlemen," a voice boomed over the microphone. Jake turned to see Mr. Bowers standing tall, the quintessential ringmaster of this gathering. "We've been blessed with a surprise," Mr. Bowers announced, his eyes glinting with enthusiasm. "A special guest has offered to perform tonight. Please welcome." Jake's breath caught as he recognized the name being announced, an artist who had once performed at huge festivals, known for her stirring lyrics and powerful voice. Could this be the spark they needed to elevate the fair even further? As the crowd erupted in cheers, Jake felt a pull in his gut. Was this artist's presence a sign that they were on the right path? Or a reminder of the scale of their aspirations? This could change everything, but what if it also added pressure they weren't ready for? The crowd swayed with excitement, but Jake stood frozen momentarily, heart racing. What would happen next? They weren't just seeking validation. They were building a future. As the artist took the stage, Jake realized this fair was no longer merely about fundraising or bringing people together. It had transformed into something that could inspire, uplift, and ignite change in ways he had only begun to grasp. What would they do with this energy? Jake's thoughts raced as the music began to fill the air. Was this just a beginning, or a turning point that might lead them to something far greater? The night was just getting started, and with each note, he felt an urge to find out. The moment the artist stepped onto the stage, the fairgrounds seemed to breathe a collective sigh of anticipation. The crowd quieted, the noise of chatter fading into an electric stillness. Jake's heart pounded as he absorbed every detail of the performer, her vibrant dress swirling around her like a burst of color against the soft evening light, her confident smile radiating warmth. As she picked up her guitar, those first notes floated through the air, weaving a spell of enchantment. The sound wrapped around Jake like a comforting blanket, pulling him deeper into the moment. This was more than a performance. It was an invitation, a call to feel, to connect, and to dream bigger than their surroundings. The song began, its lyrics rich with themes of hope and perseverance. Each word was a reminder of why they had worked so hard to bring the fair to life. Jake glanced at Lily and Emma, and saw their eyes shining with delight. Others around them swayed, lost in the melodies, laughter and tears mingling in the crowd. But amid the joy, a knot tightened in Jake's stomach. What would happen when the echoes of this night faded? Would the magic of now translate into tomorrow's reality? The singer's voice soared, letting the doubt swirl high above the joy, competing for a place in his heart. When she hit a particularly poignant note, Jake felt a sense of clarity wash over him. The fair was not just about the immediate enjoyment, it was a foundation, a stepping stone toward something greater. But what if the very intensity of this moment set them up for disappointment when reality crashed in? Shaking off his doubts, he watched how the crowd reacted, how they shared in each rise and fall of the music. There was unity in their laughter, a shared heartbeat that pulsed through the fairground as the singer poured her heart out. Jake could feel the warmth between the friends around him, their collective hope igniting like fireworks bursting against the dark sky. Suddenly, the artist paused, lowering her guitar and leaning into the microphone. "I know sometimes life can get heavy," she said, her voice a soft but steady beacon. "But remember, together we can lift each other up. We've got to believe in our dreams." Cheers erupted from the audience. It wasn't just a call to action. It was a reminder that they were all in this together. Jake felt something shift within him. Maybe the path forward was not just about the fair or validation. It was about the connections they were forging, the community they were building, and the hope they were drumming up from the ashes of uncertainty. As the song concluded, the crowd erupted in applause, many wiping away tears. Jake cheered along, the sounds of joy drowning out haunting thoughts. At that moment he realized they were living something special, creating a ripple effect of inspiration. They weren't simply trying to survive tomorrow. They were asserting their story into existence. Images flashed through his mind. Kids giggling while getting face painted, parents connecting over homemade caramel apples, the spark in Emma's eyes. Now, with the high energy of the night wrapping around him like a warm hug, Jake felt a tug of determination. It was all worth it. But pressing questions lingered. What would this all mean for them going forward? Just how far could this moment propel their dreams into reality? With the final notes of the artist fading into the night, Jake turned to his friends, excitement bubbling within him. "What's next for us?" he asked, anticipation ringing in his voice. Before they could respond, the loud crack of fireworks interrupted. Color exploded across the night sky, illuminating the faces of the crowd, each beam of light a fresh spark of possibility. But beneath the thrill lay an unspoken question that would hang in the air. Could they harness this momentum when the celebrations ended? How would they keep the flame alive long after the fair closed its doors? The answers awaited, just beyond the glimmering stars. The fireworks burst into vibrant patterns above, and as the crowd oohed and awed, Jake's heart raced with new possibilities. He felt a wave of hope wash over him. With Emma's laughter ringing in his ears and Lily's excitement buzzing beside him, he knew that they had the potential for something truly extraordinary. "Let us find a way to capture this," Jake urged, his voice barely rising over the popping and crackling in the sky. He could see sparks reflected in Emma's wide eyes, the kind of innocence and enthusiasm that could ignite any plan. "What's the next step after the fair? We need to do something bigger." Emma clapped her hands, bouncing on the balls of her feet. "Can we have more events? Maybe a concert? Like this one? But every month?" Jake nodded eagerly. "Yes, if we can bring in artists, local bands even, we'll create a space for people to come together," Lily interjected, her eyes sparkling. "And we can set up booths, food trucks, local crafts. It'll be a festival of its own." Each idea sparked another, and before long, they were caught in a whirlwind of brainstorming, weaving their dreams together like a tapestry. Jake saw their excitement feeding off one another, their passion igniting brighter than the fireworks overhead. But beneath the surge of enthusiasm, a lingering worry tugged at Jake's heart. He knew all too well how easily dreams could slip through fingers if not caught and held tight. "But realistically," he said, trying to bring some focus back to their plans, "this means a lot more work. Fundraising, organizing, I think we can manage it," Emma chimed in with confidence. "Look at what we just pulled off. We did it together, right?" Jake looked between his friends, seeing the fire in their eyes, the determination that had been born from their shared struggle. For a fleeting moment, doubt gave way to a realization the fair had united them in a way he couldn't have imagined before. They were rising not just as dreamers but as doers. "Okay, how do we do this?" Jake asked, a smile creeping onto his face. "Let us write down everything we want, and we can start making calls tomorrow morning." The trio huddled together, ideas flowing freely between them. Each dream turned into an actionable plan: paperwork for permits, volunteering for decorations, reaching out to local artists. Jake scribbled furiously on his phone, his throat tightening with excitement. As their plans began to take shape, a new sound penetrated the festive atmosphere. It was the murmur of the crowd starting to fade, voices that began to echo against the backdrop of the night. With every passing moment, the buzz of the fair was slowly winding down, the possibilities of tomorrow becoming bittersweet in contrast to the fading lights. "Hey, look at the stars," Lily whispered, pointing up. "They're so bright tonight." Jake's gaze wandered upward, transfixed not just by the sky, but by what lay ahead. The night was coming to an end, yet their true journey was just beginning. He felt an electric thrill course through him. The shadows of doubt started to lift. Suddenly, Emma grabbed Jake's arm, her expression turning serious. "But what if it doesn't work? What if we fail?" A hush fell around them, and Jake found himself staring at the ground, the weight of fears hanging around them like a looming cloud. "Then we try again," he said, surprising himself with the firmness in his voice. "We keep each other grounded, we all believe, and we keep moving forward. We're a team. It's not just about success. It's about what we create together." The corners of Emma's mouth turned up ever so slightly, and Lily nodded vigorously. Jake took a breath, feeling courage swell in his chest. Together they could tackle anything. As the last of the fireworks faded from view, silencing the fairgrounds around them, Jake clutched onto a hopeful thought. They were standing on the precipice of change, and he could feel the thrill of what was to come. But as the celebrations drew to a close, One question remained: could they sustain the energy of this night and transform it into something everlasting? Or would their dreams flicker out, like the last sparks of fireworks fading into the night? The morning light poured through Jake's window, casting a warm glow over his small bedroom. He lay still for a moment, letting yesterday's excitement wash over him again. The fair had been a success. The laughter, the sparks, he felt invigorated. But then reality crept in with its typical questions. How do we keep this fire alive? His phone buzzed, breaking the silence. It was a message from Emma. Ready to meet up? Let us kick this into gear. His heart raced as he jumped out of bed, a new sense of purpose coursing through him. At the local coffee shop, the aroma of brewing beans hung in the air, mingling with the faint sound of chatter and laughter from patrons tucked at tables. Jake found Emma and Lily already seated, looking animated as they pored over the last notes from their brainstorming session. Shoreline Cafe was their headquarters, now home to dreams brewed as strong as the coffee. Did you bring the list? Emma asked, her eyes sparkling. Jake nodded, sliding his phone across the table. I jotted down all the ideas we had and a few new ones. Fundraising events, partnerships with local businesses, maybe workshops to draw in more crowds. Lily's eyes widened. Workshops? Like art classes or cooking demonstrations? That's brilliant. As they flipped through ideas, their enthusiasm grew. With each suggestion, it felt like they were building something tangible. Jake could hardly contain his anticipation. It wasn't just a festival anymore. It was a movement waiting to take shape. Suddenly, they were interrupted by an older woman at the next table. Excuse me, she said, but I couldn't help but overhear. Are you three starting a community event? Jake froze, unsure of what to say. But Emma's confidence kicked in. Yes, we are. We want to host a monthly festival to celebrate local artists and bring our community together. The woman's face lit up. That's wonderful. I organize events at the community center. Maybe I can offer support or connect you with some resources. Jake felt a surge of gratitude. In that moment, the world around them expanded beyond their small table. Thank you so much, he said, his voice genuine. We can definitely use all the help we can get. As they exchanged contact details, Jake realized how interconnected it all was. This journey wasn't just about them. It was about a thriving community yearning for connection. And suddenly all the worries about failure started to fade. After chatting more, the woman left, and they resumed their brainstorming. But something had shifted in the air. Lily said softly, it feels like the universe wants us to do this. Yeah, Jake agreed, it's like we're meant to create something bigger. They spent hours mapping out every small detail, their excitement a tangible force that filled the cafe. The plans transformed into something real, vibrant, alive with possibility. Jake felt lighter with every word, the weight of uncertainty lifting. But as night fell and they packed away their notes, a shadow of fear crept back. What if they put in all this work and it fell flat? Pushing the doubt away, Jake resolved to focus. Tomorrow was a new day, and they had the potential to create something extraordinary. But what if we fail? Emma's worry echoed in his mind again like a gentle reminder. Then we only get stronger, he replied to himself, more than anyone else. As they stepped out into the cool night air, excitement pulsed through him. They were on the edge of something incredible. But Jake couldn't shake the sense that they were also standing in the face of something much darker, the fear that lurked in every dream. Little did they know, the very next day would change everything. Would they rise above their fears? Or would they discover that chasing dreams could lead to unexpected challenges? The sun peeked over the horizon, casting a golden hue over the town. Jake woke up with determination pumping through his veins. Today was the day they would take their plans to the next level. He could feel every beat of his heart urging him to make things happen. At the cafe, Emma and Lily were already deep into conversation. The moment Jake arrived, Lily waved him over. We were just talking about the theme for our first festival. How about unity and diversity? I love that, Jake exclaimed, his mind racing with all the possibilities. Captures everything we want to achieve. We want different voices to be heard, different talents highlighted. Emma jotted it down. We can incorporate performances from various cultures, and even have international food stalls. It'll be a feast for the senses. Excitement swirled around their table. The coffee cups were soon empty, and their brainstorming seemed endless. But amid the laughter and bright ideas, Jake couldn't ignore the little voice in his head reminding him of the hurdles they still had to face. Okay, so we've got a great theme, he said, trying to keep the momentum. But what about funding? We need a solid plan for that to make this happen. The energy dimmed slightly, but Emma spoke up, determination shining in her eyes. We can pitch to local businesses, maybe even create a sponsorship package? Something that shows how supporting our festival could benefit them. Jake nodded. We could also start a crowdfunding campaign. People love supporting community projects. We can leverage our social media presence. As they continued tossing ideas around, a shift occurred in Jake's chest. This was more than just planning. It was about crucial connections, both with each other and the broader community. Minutes turned into hours, and just as they were finalizing their list for outreach, a sudden commotion caught their attention. A family with children had entered the cafe, their laughter booming, filled with joy as the kids dashed towards the pastry display in delight. A smile spread across Jake's face, and he thought about the families they wanted to invite to the festival. This is it, he said suddenly. We're creating a space for moments like these. Just then his phone buzzed with a message. It was from the woman they met yesterday. Hi, I have some contacts for local vendors interested in participating in your festival. Can we set up a meeting? Jake couldn't contain his excitement. Look, this could be a golden opportunity, he said, showing the message to Emma and Lily. The three exchanged glances, their breaths held for a moment. It felt like stepping onto a precipice, teetering between hope and uncertainty. Let us meet her, Lily exclaimed, her enthusiasm rekindled. This could pave the way for everything. As they confirmed the meeting, a wave of energy surged through them. The closer they got to making this festival a reality, the more resolve filled their hearts. But as they wrapped up their session, the nagging doubt returned. What if they couldn't pull this off? What if their excitement didn't translate into success? As they stood up to leave, Emma caught Jake's eye. We will do this, won't we? Jake nodded. Together. No backing down. That night, as Jake lay in bed, the weight of the world didn't feel as heavy as it had before. He knew they were moving in the right direction. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, but they had each other. They could face anything, but just as he began to drift off, another question crept into his mind. Was this dream bigger than they ever anticipated? Would they be ready for what was coming next? As dawn broke, Jake sensed that today would be pivotal, like a pivotal point in a movie where the hero is about to confront the biggest challenge yet. What awaited them just around the corner? Jake felt the day wrap around him like a warm embrace as sunlight poured in through his window. With every beat of his heart, he was reminded that today was not just any day. It was the day they would set their dreams into motion. His mind whirled with thoughts about the meeting they were still buzzing over. Would the woman who reached out about the vendors truly bring the connections they so desperately needed? He had a knot of excitement mixed with anxiety. They were stepping into uncharted waters, and with each breath, determination filled his lungs. In the cafe, the atmosphere was electric. Emma and Lily were already buzzing with ideas. When Jake arrived, he found them poring over sketches and rough drafts for flyers. Emma looked up, her eyes bright. Good morning, Jake. Ready for the big meeting? More than ready, he replied, a grin spreading across his face. It was time to pull their plans off the paper and breathe life into them. They quickly reviewed their notes and laid out their goals for the meeting. It was not just about hiring vendors, it was about building partnerships. They needed to present themselves as a community, united with a vision that others would want to support. Remember, Lily said as they gathered their things, this is about creating something special. Let us not just focus on what we need from them, but how we can be part of their story too. Jake felt a rush of pride. This was why he loved working with these two. They understood the heart of what they were doing. The cafe door chimed as they stepped outside. The air felt crisp and fresh, the kind of day that wrapped around you like hope. As they walked together, Jake took in the sights around him, the children playing, the shopkeepers setting up displays, the lively chatter of neighbors. This was the community they wanted to serve at the community center. They waited anxiously for their contact to arrive. Each tick of the clock echoed in Jake's ears. He kept imagining all the vendors they could bring to life at the festival. What if someone showcased a hidden talent? What if a local chef could teach others to cook a traditional dish? Just then the door swung open, and in came the woman they were excited to meet. Her smile lit the room. "Hi, I'm Sarah. Sorry if I'm late. Traffic was a mess." They exchanged pleasantries and Jake felt their hopes start to soar. Sarah laid out her connections, each one a potential stepping stone toward making their festival a reality. It was everything they had dreamed about. But as the conversation deepened, Jake noticed Sarah's excitement dim slightly when she mentioned some of the vendors were hesitant. They've been burned by events that promised more than they delivered. They'll need to see a solid plan first. Jake felt the weight of those words settle onto his shoulders. He had to think fast. This was the moment where everything could shift. "What if we put together a detailed proposal?" Jake suggested. "We can outline how we'll drive foot traffic and engage the community. A plan backed by our voices, our stories." Lily nodded encouragingly. "We can even share testimonials from other local businesses for credibility." Sarah visibly brightened again, the spark of enthusiasm returning. "That sounds great. If you can show them that this event is about collaboration and support, they'll be more inclined to join." As they wrapped up the meeting, Jake felt exhilaration blend with the creeping shadows of doubt. They had momentum, but would their efforts be enough to convince the vendors? Walking home, he couldn't shake the feeling that they were on the brink of something monumental. If they could connect with the vendors and bring their festival to life, what would that mean for the community? What doors would it open? That night, a thought lingered. If they succeeded in hosting this festival, could it change not only the town but each person's story forever? As he lay staring at the ceiling, the question loomed larger. What would they have to sacrifice to make it happen? And most importantly, when the moment arrived for the final pitch, would they be ready for what the outcome could mean for them all? The sun broke through the clouds, bathing the town in a golden glow. Jake woke up feeling an urgency in the pit of his stomach. Today was the day. The day they would finally present their plan to the vendors. It was go time. Arriving at the community center felt like stepping into the eye of a storm. Excitement and unease danced around him like fireflies, and he could feel every pulse of expectation in the air. He spotted Lily and Emma by the registration desk, faces lit with determination. They had spent the past few days refining their proposal, and today was the moment to make it all real. "Ready?" Jake asked, his heart thumping in rhythm with the energy swirling around them. "More than ever," Emma replied, flashing a grin as she adjusted her stack of neatly organized papers. They settled around a central table cluttered with colorful flyers, buzz of energy spreading as other community members filtered in. Each one of them was committed to helping build a future for their town, sharing stories and hopes as they positioned themselves in the same space. When Sarah stepped in, her presence ignited a new flame within the room. There was something about her enthusiasm that amplified their own. She approached them beaming. "Today is our chance to show everyone what we can achieve together. Are you ready?" Her words hung in the air, the promise of possibility looming large. The three friends nodded, hearts thrumming as they prepared to present their vision. As they stepped to the front, the crowd fell silent. Jake's voice trembled slightly as he cleared his throat, but he pushed on. "Thanks to everyone for coming. We have a vision, a dream that each of you can be a part of. We believe in unity, collaboration, and the strength of our community." Lily took a step forward, her freckled face glowing with determination. "We want to showcase our talents and cultures through a monthly festival, Unity and Diversity, where everyone can share their gifts." The room filled with murmurs of approval, eyes sparkling with hope. Emma chimed in, "Tonight is not just about fundraising. It's about building connections and creating spaces for all voices to be heard. When we come together, we win." The trio spoke with such passion, sharing their dreams like they were seeds being planted in fertile ground. Each word brought a voice to their story, inviting their neighbors to be part of something bigger. After they concluded, applause erupted like summer rain, washing over them like a tidal wave of support. Jake felt an overwhelming rush of emotion. They weren't just presenting a plan, they were igniting a movement. But as the excitement buzzed in the air, the inevitable weight of doubt crept back. When it came time to answer questions, Jake's heart raced. Would this momentum last? Sounds wonderful, but how do we know this will actually bring people in? A vendor chimed in, skepticism lining his voice. With an encouraging nod from Sarah, Jake took a breath and leaned in. "'Cause we've already seen it. The fair showed us how much we can lift each other up. We created a spark, and with your help, we can fan it into a fire that brings everyone together." The crowd began to murmur, shifting from skepticism to curiosity. That was all Jake needed. He seized it. "Let us start small. We can gauge interest, get feedback from attendees, and grow from there. Each event can build upon the last, creating something more significant than we can even imagine right now." Watching faces nod in agreement kindled a hope inside Jake. They could do this. Hours seemed to fly as they pushed through discussions, crafting and fine-tuning ideas. Promises flowed, futures aligned, and by the end of the meeting, vendors shared their commitment to join forces in ways Jake had only dreamed about. The door finally swung open, and the cool evening air rushed in. They spilled out, laughter punctuating the air, filled with jubilation. "Can you believe this? We made it happen." Emma beamed. "Together," Jake added, his eyes sparkling as he turned to Lily, who stood with a radiant smile. "I knew we could do it," she said, eyes glistening with excitement. As the group parted, each heading home filled with new dreams, Jake pondered the journey ahead. This was just the beginning. Doors had opened, relationships had strengthened, and they were now armed with the community's belief in them. Could they really create a festival that would transform not just their town but their lives? That night, as Jake lay in bed, he felt the rush of possibility wrapping around him. They were no longer just a father and daughter, they were a team. They had taken the first leap towards building their dreams. With each heartbeat, it pushed them further into the unknown. And there it was, the promise of change, growth, and belief stitched into the fabric of their story. So what if it was hard? What if it took every ounce of strength and soul? They were ready to ignite the fire within, ready to take the risks. Tomorrow would be another chance, another step in the adventure ahead. To Jake, the journey was both thrilling and humbling. Holding on to that thought, he drifted into a peaceful sleep, driven by the compelling call of what awaited them at dawn. This was their moment, not just for their dreams but for everyone in their community. Time to rise. Time to shine.